Here is Sirianni on both his quarterback and this new offense that changes 95% of the way things were previously done.
I think he's done a really nice job adapting to, some of the different things that we're doing. And, some of the different, there's different concepts. There's similar concepts. But in those similar concepts, sometimes we're asking them to read it differently than we have in the past. So I think he's done a really nice job of handling the things that are similar. I think he's done a very nice job handling things that are similar, but his job's changed a little bit, and done a really nice job of, really grinding away to be a master at the offense and all the things that come with it.
And again, at some level, he's got to wonder, why do I have to do this? I think that's really at the core of this. We have to make dramatic changes. You could have some players who say why. Some say yes. Some might say why. Why do we have to make dramatic changes in our offense? That wasn't the problem. That wasn't why we fell apart down the stretch. And again, unless we know all the details on why things fell apart for the Eagles, it's impossible to know how much buy-in there will or won't be of a brand new offense. And I don't want to overinterpret, but I also don't want to underinterpret what I saw from Jalen Hurts. I did not see a guy who is outwardly enthused about the changes that the offense is going through. Now, I would be very excited about the presence of Saquon Barkley. That's for damn sure. And maybe at some level, Jalen Hurts believes he's being minimized. And, look, we understand the business of football. I'd like to think Jalen Hurts gets it. There's a point I made when things were falling apart for the Eagles, and we started to spin forward what happens with this team after the season. And I looked at Jalen Hurts' contract very carefully. He could have been traded easily to a new team without a significant cap consequence. The Eagles have structured that contract to make it easy to hit the escape hatch if they decide they want to, or if he decides he wants out. And again, they're not going to bare their soul with what they thought about. But, folks, the one thing I'm trying to impress on people is teams are always thinking about potential upgrades at every position, potential changes at every position. There are very few sacred cows currently in the NFL. You can count them on one hand. And you may not need all your fingers to do it. Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, and now that Justin Jefferson has his contract him. Before that, and again, I don't want to get all the Vikings fans riled up on a Friday morning, but I don't think he was completely and totally untouchable until he signed that new contract. So there aren't a lot of guys that get that preference. And I think that all bets are off if the Eagles fail this year. And you could see many dramatic changes next year, on field and off field, if they don't make this happen. So, excitement would be preferred, but I can understand why somebody like Jalen Hurts would be a little guarded, because it's, a combination of, well, why are we doing all this? And what are we going to do if, we don't go farther than the wild card round in 2024?
Yeah, and there should be that concern, Mike. And the big thing for him is when you look at the interceptions and how many he had last season. He had 15 last season, and that's the first time in his career that he had double-digit interception. And it's hard to win when you're throwing that many interceptions. You play 17 games. He started all 17 games, so that's almost one interception per game. That's just not good enough. Like, you can't turn the ball over and expect to win. And so that's the thing they have to cut down on. Otherwise, he had a pretty good season. He made the Pro Bowl again, but you got to be better than that. You got to better protect the football than that. Or, as you said, Mike, there could not only be a new coach in Philadelphia next season, there could be a new quarterback in Philadelphia next season. I mean, that's just the facts. And that's the way this league works. It's a year-by-year proposition. And if you don't produce one year, you might not have a job the next year. You might be elsewhere next year, starting over somewhere else. That's just the facts of this league. It's a not for long league, as Rich McKay used to always tell us back in the Tampa days. not for long. So you got to prove yourself each and every year, and you certainly can't have 2 bad years in a row.
That's what Jerry Glanville once said to our good friend Jim Diopoulos on the sideline. That great NFL Films clip. NFL stands for not for long if you keep making calls like that. And you're right. And look, before Jalen Hurts had that great 2022 season that sparked the contract that he got last year, hey, the Eagles were considering all options at quarterback. They were exploring other possibilities, as all teams do. Until you have that franchise quarterback, you're always looking for that franchise quarterback. There's 3 types of teams in the NFL. Teams that have franchise quarterbacks, teams that don't, and teams that have a guy that maybe could be a franchise quarterback, but until he declares himself as one, we're going to exercise our prerogative to keep our eyes open for maybe a guy who will be. And I think the Eagles were in that category before 2022 with Jalen Hurts. And this year could be the year they slide back into that category of wandering eye. Who else is out there? What else can we do? Especially if there's a new coach in 2025, which is entirely possible if things don't turn around quickly for the Philadelphia Eagles. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.